Welcome back. In this video, we will finish the lampshade modeling. I will scroll down, find Step 8, Lampshade Modeling, and open it. Once your file is open, go ahead and hide your data panel. And let's begin with our lampshade modeling. I will activate my lampshade component, and I will zoom in and orbit my model so that I can see this side of my lampshade arm. I will create a new sketch and host it to the inside of this arm. Let's slice our sketch so that we can see the inside of the arm, which essentially creates a temporary section through our model. We can see that the lampshade is now hidden so that we can have a better view of what we're modeling. I will hit C on my keyboard for circle and draw a circle here. Now we can go concentric, circle to circle, and D for diameter, and let's make this a diameter of 20. This is not necessarily a parametric component. I want this to be a set width. So I'll go ahead and stop my sketch, and you can see that we'll jump back into our model. I can now go extrude and extrude this donut shape towards my lampshade. Now I would like this shape to match up exactly on my lampshade. So what I will do is change my extent from distance to 2 objects, and I can select my lampshade body. You can now see that it has extruded this lampshade body to the edge of my lampshade. Before we hit OK, let's make sure to change this operation to new body, and now we can hit OK. Next, I'd like to create a copy on this side, but instead of using copy, I will use mirror. Let's go create mirror and change our pattern type to bodies. I will select this body, and my mirror plane will be my origin plane because my lamp is symmetrical. We can see a preview, and when we hit OK, we can now see that we have 3 bodies in our lampshade component, our main body, and these 2 outside bodies. Now that my modeling is complete, I will isolate by right-clicking Isolate my lampshade component, and we can finish modeling. I will go to Modify, Combine, so that we can combine these 3 bodies into one solid body. So I will select my 3 bodies and hit OK to combine them into one body. We can now see that we have our original surface and a new combined body. Now we can begin to add some fillets to our model to round it off in case we're going to send this to a 3D printer. I will go Modify, Fillet, and I'll orbit to the bottom of my model and select this inner edge. You can see I can drag up and down to set a distance, but I will attempt to type 3 millimeters, and we might get this error. If you get an error sometimes, you may have to change your distances just slightly in order for it to perform in a similar manner. I will go 2.95 millimeters and hit Enter. This is creating a very, very, very small lip on the edge of my lampshade, but it won't be noticed if I go to 3D print. I can continue adding fillets by going Modify, Fillet, and I will select this inner edge and this inner edge, and I will apply a fillet of 2 millimeters, and I will go Modify, Fillet one last time, and select the outside edges here, and do a very small fillet of 0.5 millimeters, just to get them a little bit more rounded. The last step I need to do is add some modeled threads to the inside of these holes so that we can attach it with screws. I will go to Create, Thread, and zoom in and select the inner cylinder to place a thread. I need to check the Modeled checkbox in order to create a modeled thread, and I will change this to left hand. Remember your designation for when we're placing our screws. I'll hit OK and orbit my model to repeat that step. Create thread, select my inner cylinder, modeled, and left hand. I'll go OK, go to my home view, and we can see that our lampshade modeling is now complete. So I will first save my file and then right-click on Isolate to show the rest of my model. Let's see what happens when we update our user parameters. If I go Modify, Change Parameters, we can see that if I change this to 12.5, my lampshade moves with my model. Again, we can change the width parameter, but let's zoom in on these holes here and my threads here and see what happens when I change my hole diameter parameter. If I change this to 6, we see the hole update on my lampshade arm, but the thread has not changed sizes at all. This is because the thread has overridden the hole in my model. I will change this back to 5 so I can show you what I mean. If I move my timeline before the threads and go Modify, Change Parameters, now when I update this to 6, you will see the hole size change in my model. However, if I go and slide this back forward again, the threads will override that hole size and automatically change it back to a 5mm thread size. I can double-click my thread to edit it, and we can see that this is because size is determined in a set list. I have no opportunity to type in a value. I have to choose from this list. So, Fusion does not automatically update your modeled threads, so this is something to be careful, especially when using user parameters to define hole size. So I will go Modify, Change Parameters one last time, change this back to 5, and we will just have to be careful to remember, just like when we bring in McMaster-Carr components, that modeled threads will not update parametrically. I will go back to my home view and activate my top component. Make sure that you change your parameters back to 15, 30, and 5. And I'll hit OK. And the last step is to group our features in our timeline. I'll select here and here holding Shift, right-click, Create Group. Let's save our file. And in the next video, we will bring in our lampshade fastener assemblies. I will see you in the next video.